What's going on, everybody? This is Coach AJ. Hello, Acclamation Nation. I'm about to give you the skinny on CFA Paleo challenges. We're doing a Paleo seminar tomorrow. This is not going to be quite the same thing, but you should get the general idea of how a Paleo challenge works, what are the benefits of the Paleo diet, and how you can use this diet, this lifestyle, this philosophy of eating to increase the results that you're getting by coming to CrossFit. So I'm going to go through this thing as quick as I can while I have a sip of my Paleo margarita. They call it a NorCal margarita. If you want to look it up, it's really not Paleo, but we'll talk more about it. First things first, I just want to let you know, we're not nutritionists at CrossFit Acclimate, and we don't play them on the internet. However, we have used different philosophies, different diets, different formats by accredited doctors and authors and experts in the field of nutrition in order to create some really good results for ourselves and other people. The gist of a Paleo challenge is it is a group support activity. Basically, you set up some rules and guidelines, you get a bunch of folks together that can support each other, and then you can do something that is pretty difficult, and you can lean on each other for the different support elements that you may need. But ultimately, this is about you figuring out what works for you so that you can get the results that you want to get out of CrossFit, out of nutrition, and increase your overall quality of life through your movement practice and the things you put in your body. So let's get into it. This is kind of a roadmap. I'm going to develop some working definitions of these two things. Paleo gets thrown around all the time. There's a big spectrum of what paleo can really mean. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about why eating paleo can be beneficial. What are some of the downfalls of the standard American diet as we now know? I'm going to talk a little bit about what to eat. I'm going to talk a little about when to eat, how much to eat, and supplements, cheats, alcohol, things like that. And this is in context of a paleo challenge. And at the very end, I'm going to get into some practical advice. I'm going to get into what this new thing I'm developing, which is called the Paleo progression, which should be pretty cool. I think that it's going to be able to get some more folks involved so that they can work towards getting themselves into a Paleo challenge. Because the Paleo challenge can be overwhelming and it can be intense. So let's get going. This is a basic outline of what a Paleo challenge looks like. First thing you want to do is you're going to want to start by measuring something, and that can be a workout, body fat percentage. Weight's not always the greatest because you can end up gaining some muscle, and the scale can lie to you a little bit, but you want to take some sort of a measurement. Okay. Next thing you want to do is you want to educate and prepare yourself. Okay, that's the idea around Paleo 101. And you're going to want to, think about setting some goals. Once the Paleo challenge starts, you're going to want to attend CrossFit at least 3 times a week. And you're going to want to, if you're participating in the challenge, you're going to want to start logging things in on a regular basis and submitting them to a coach. The idea is for 28 days, you're going to be held accountable for what you're eating, and you're not going to get, slapped on the wrist or anything like that, but what you are going to get is some constructive feedback and some observation for someone that has successfully changed a diet and help others change their diet. 28 days. It's 4 weeks. That'll put us, past that point where you actually start developing good habits and you're not just making this temporary behavior change. And once you get done with 28 days of clean eating, you now have a clean slate to start running some experiments on yourself, reintroducing some of these foods that you might like. You may learn that you don't have an adverse effect to gluten or to grains or to this or that or the other, but you won't know until you clean the slate. So that's part of the 28-day challenge, and then you can retest your baseline WOD. You can then see an increase or decrease in your performance. You can see an increase or decrease in body fat. But I I bet you a lot of good, cold, hard cash that if you attend CrossFit 3 to 4 times a week and eat the way that we suggest that you eat, that you're going to have some really, really terrific results, and you're going to be jacked and tan, ready for summer. So when I say paleo, this is what I'm talking about when I say paleo. It's eating a diet that our ancestors could have collected, foraged, gathered, harvested, or hunted. And the simplest way to put it is meat, veggies, nuts, and seeds, some fruit, and starches. Okay. It's also known as a diet of whole foods. So basically, you're eating foods with a whole, one ingredient. Broccoli, the ingredients are broccoli. Steak, the ingredients are steak. All right, it's as simple as that. We're going to reduce our intake of wheat, rice, corn, and dairy products, and most importantly, sugar. Right? These things are all over the place. If you think about us, and it's one of the more challenging elements of this whole thing is eliminating these things. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. There are paleo definitions that include you only eat seasonal vegetables that have been grown from doo-doo in your front yard. We're not going to that level. Meats, veggies, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. Okay, that's the general idea. A challenge, right? So now we're talking about a call to take part in a contest, right? This isn't for the rest of your life. This is a 28-day challenge so that you can develop some new habits, so that you can create a blank slate that you can start reintroducing foods in, and that's what's going on here. This isn't something where you're drinking Slim Fast or anything like that. Sorry to name drop a fad kind of thing, but this isn't a forever kind of deal. This is an opportunity for you to take some structure and learn what is going to fuel you the best so that you can get the most out of CrossFit and you can get the most out of the results and the benefits that you get from CrossFit. The role of nutrition. There's a lot of concepts here. Basically, nutrition is the foundation of our physical activity, right? So if we see our pyramid over here, Greg Glassman, he outlined this thing as nutrition being the base. After that, we're looking at how do we create energy. That's our metabolic conditioning, our Metcon. How do you move your body through space? How do you move stuff through space? And then what kind of sports you're in, right? And nutrition really plays a complete pivotal role in setting the tone for how well you do the rest of this. And when you come to CrossFit, we're seeing you between 3 and 5 hours a week. Okay, there is a lot of hours left in the week for you to do things that can increase your work capacity, and help you out, which is including sleeping. You have to eat almost twice as much as you do work out. So we want to clean those things up that you're doing outside the gym, even though we can't directly control those things as coaches. You can't out-exercise a poor diet. This is a spectrum right here where if you do not exercise and you do not eat quality foods, you're basically in sickness. I mean, you're pretty much setting yourself up for the grave. And then if you can choose one or the other, you may get yourself to health or wellness, right? Where, I don't eat very well, but I exercise on a regular basis and I feel okay, or vice versa. But when you really put the two together, when I eat the things that my body needs and I recover the way I need to, I can really make some progress fitness-wise. And that's our definition of fitness right there. We're working against some misinformation. We learned a lot of poor things from school. If we see here, we got the SAD diet, also known as the standard American diet. And for the longest time, we thought that, we were told that grains, rice, pasta, cereals, these things were the foundation of what's going on. And really what we learned is that they are just packed full of carbohydrates. If you want to get into the conspiracy theory into things, there's a ton of subsidies farming-wise that, help grow these grains and things like that. Long story short, we didn't have it right with this model. We also had other things like fat makes you fat, and that is not true. It's almost as if like the best looking lipstick in the entire world got the name ugly. Here, come buy this ugly lipstick, because like that was going to be a good thing for you. That's how fats make you fat. It's incorrect. There are fats that are better for us, and there are fats that are not ideal for us that can cause some of some of these ill effects, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. This is a gentleman. His name is Matt Lalonde, all right, and he goes into agriculture and the evolution of agriculture and why eating, tubers and meats and vegetables is an ideal path for humans, based off the idea that agriculture is a pretty brand new thing, and that this access to year-round fruits and year-round corn and grains and things like that is relatively new in the human evolution. So our bodies aren't quite prepared to process it from an insulin standpoint, as far as how many carbohydrates we eat and how much sugar we eat, but also from an or an autoimmune perspective, where we are allergic to things in a very, very slight way, that we have these autoimmune reactions, and we don't even realize it, but they do have this long-term effect and this systemic consequence, especially when we're exercising at a high level. But long story short, he talks about how grains are nutritionally poor, calorically dense, and when we take a thing like a sweet potato, some kind of roots, things like that, they are nutritionally dense and calorically sparse, right? So those are some good things to eat. What to eat and what to avoid. Okay, you can review this list on your own. Basically, you're gonna want to eat meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. These are some practical steps. Pause the video and check these out. Here are some food lists and some resources, right? So this can get you started on your shopping list. This can get you a place to go. But I want to talk real quick in regards to the gym. Before you eat, I mean, if you went through an on-ramp program, you more than likely got the make sure you eat a banana before you come or something like that. It's very important that you have something in your body before you eat. Now, you can play around with this. Maybe you don't need that. But if you've gotten, if you've turned into the ghost face and you've thrown up after your first or second workout, it's not a bad idea to get something in you. Afterwards, this is the window of gains, right? You want to get something in your body so you can start the recovery process. And again, think of that 1 to 23 ratio, okay, where 23 hours a day you are not in the gym. Okay, use those 23 hours to recover yourself. When we talk about how much to eat, you can start looking at things like the zone. Now, there is a great intersection between the zone and paleo. Paleo is a quality-focused diet, right? So we want to eat good things for us. The zone is based around eating foods in a way that manages our insulin levels, right? Insulin, it goes up because when we eat carbohydrate, okay? So we eat a bunch of bread, pasta, whatever, insulin goes up and it mobilizes all those sugars. Well, it also mobilizes them into fat, and it also creates an inflammatory effect, right? So these things, that's where carbohydrates and insulin, that's what makes you fat, or can mobilize fat to places where we don't want it, and it will increase your inflammatory response. You're going to be puffy and swollen because of it. So we can talk about what those are going to mean. Dr. Barry Sears, right? He's got the zone diet, right? That's his claim to fame, and it's basically eating in a way that you're balancing your macronutrients. When I say macronutrients, I'm talking about proteins, carbs, and fats. Okay, you ideally in the zone diet, you want to eat them balanced so that you're eating 30% of your calories from fats, 30% of your calories from protein, and then 40% from carbohydrates. And this is an idea of, kind of what that looks like. Okay, he goes through this. If you watch this video, look up Barry Sears. He'll tell you eat as many veggies as you want. Cup your fat in, your fat should sit in the palm of your hand, and your protein should be about the size of your palm and about the same thickness. Okay. Supplements, cheats, and alcohol. Okay. Supplements are goal dependent, right? If you're eating a lot of good foods, you're more than likely getting what you need. Cheats, intentionally schedule them we're about to stop this video and start part 2.